Okay, excellent. So I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome everyone to the event today. My name is Jennifer Druckenmiller Kahn. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am the Outreach and Public Engagement Coordinator at Stamps Gallery, which is part of the Penny W. Stamps School of Art and Design at the University of Michigan. I'm pleased to welcome you all here today for the Story Word Sound Sway in Performance and Conversation event with Carissa Bledsoe and Schroeder Cherry. A big thank you to the artists for both being here, and they're both with us today. And yeah, big thanks to all of you for joining us for this special event. This event is being held in conjunction with Story Word Sound Sway, an exhibition of work by 11 Stamps School of Art and Design alumni using performance, movement, text, sound, and design to interrogate systems of oppression and interrupt the status quo. It explores themes of alternative histories, archives, identity, collective memory, storytelling, meshing performance and performativity, and the interplay of the oral and oral in one's experience of the world. An undercurrent of movement explored in multiple variations thread the works together. This is realized through a variety of methods, including painterly gesture, repetitive mark making, performance with an audience or without, spoken word, ambient sound, and reimagined instruments. The artists included in the exhibition are Carissa Bledsoe, Schroeder Cherry, Elshafe Defala, Masimba Hawati, Caleb Moss, Sangor Reed, Valencia Robin, Yvette Rock, Wes Taylor, Levester Williams, and Elizabeth Youngblood. Storyword Soundsway is curated by current Stamp student Motuniola Agundape and myself, and will be accompanied by an exhibition publication that is being designed by artist and designer Caleb Moss, who is also in the exhibition. And the publication will include interviews with each of the artists, and these interviews were conducted by Motuniola. The exhibition is on view at Stamps Gallery right now. It opened January 18th and will run through February 28th. So just a quick note, please note, this event is being recorded. So if you do not want to be in the recording, we just ask that you turn off your video and just ask your questions through the chat. And then throughout the event, if you could just keep yourself on mute, unless we ask you to unmute to ask any questions or joining in the conversation, that'll just help us with the sound. So following guidance from university administrators and public health officials in response to COVID-19, Stamps Gallery is open to UM faculty, staff, and students with a valid M card. And if you do have a valid M card and you would like to come visit us, you're welcome to do so Tuesdays and Fridays from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. We're unable to welcome the general public to the gallery at this time. To make up for this though, our website has detailed images of all the works in the exhibition that can be viewed virtually at the Storyword Sound Sway exhibition page on the Stamps website. And Ben will drop that link into the chat for us right now. So you can go check that out. For more information and to review our visitors policies, please visit our Stamps Gallery webpage on Stamps School of Art and Design website that again, we'll put into the chat for you to go see. Great. So now I'm going to turn it over to Stamps Gallery Director, Srimoyee Mitra.
Thank you, Jennifer. Hello, everyone. We are so pleased to be here today, and I'm very excited to welcome you to one of our first virtual programs to kick off the new year. So I'll tell you a little bit about Stamps Gallery and turn it back over to Jennifer so we can get started. Stamps Gallery is an incubator and lab for contemporary artists and designers to explore ideas and projects that catalyze social change. Building on the school's strong tradition of thought leadership, community engagement, our goal is to develop innovative and scholarly exhibitions, publications, and public programs that foster inclusive platforms for presentation, discussion, and inquiry into the urgent questions and concerns of our time. A commitment to social justice shapes our work as we hope to inspire new ways of looking, thinking, and making. So every year we present 2 to 4 student exhibitions and 3 to 5 exhibitions with renowned artists and designers working locally, nationally, and internationally. As we continue to uphold and honor the COVID-19 health and safety guidelines, as Jennifer mentioned earlier, Stamps Gallery's webpage on the Stamps School of Art and Design's website is a vital repository for us, not only for images and information, but also an expansion of the exhibition experience. So as Jennifer mentioned, please do spend some time there. I believe it's been dropped on the in the chat to have a fuller, a more detailed view of the current exhibition. Also online, another virtual exhibition that we have on right now is entitled The Pandemic Circle by the renowned artist collective called the Rux Media Collective, as they present new work that was commissioned by Stamps Gallery. So without further ado, I turn it back to Jennifer, and I hope you enjoy the program.
Great. Thanks, Shumoyi. Okay, so just really quick before I also hand it off, just want to go over really quickly our schedule for the day. So following opening remarks, we'll be introducing each of the artists and the work that they're presenting, and this will be followed by their performances. We're going to present both of the performances first, and then we'll move on to the conversation between the artists and the curators. This will be followed by a public Q&A where we really want to bring all of you into the conversation, hear from you, and have you ask questions. So if you do have questions though, please feel free to add them in the chat at any time. We will be monitoring the chat throughout the event, so you can feel free to put questions in there, but we won't be taking any of your questions until a little later on, but we definitely have time planned for that. Great, so now I'd like to bring in exhibition co-curator Moteniola Ogundipe to introduce Carissa Bledsoe.
Thank you, Jennifer. Again, my name is Moteniola Ogundipe, and I'll be presenting Carissa Bledsoe. Carissa will be presenting the performance In Deep, performed in Marseille, France at La Friche Belle de Mai. The duration of the performance is approximately 18 minutes in length, with sound design by Carl Bledsoe Jr. and technical support from Valentina Vietra and Christophe Tristan. A special thanks to Red Plexus for accommodating the filming of the performance in their creative space. Carissa Bledsoe's pronouns are she, her, and they. She was born in 1992 in Texas and is based in Marseille, France. Her accolades include Conservatoire National Supérieur de Musique et de Danse de Paris, with a master's in choreology, which is the movement of notation and analysis, from France in 2020. The Conservatoire National Supérieur de Musique et de Danse de Paris, with her first diploma in choreology in France 2018. Atelier des Beaux-Arts de Paris from Studio 30 de Pizio as a collaborating artist in France in 2018. L'École L'Étoile Language Certificate, France 2016, and the Stamps School of Art and Design at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, with a BFA in InterArts, 2014. Carissa Bledsoe is an artist dreaming of a utopian queer community. They have been a part of multiple artistic collectives in France and have performed in various festivals and events, notably in the Move Festival at the Centre de Pompidou and Le Bal pour le Temps Présent au Grand Palais. Bledsoe's personal work is inspired by the experience of life as an embodied soul and is often linked to the corporeal expression, drawing, and writing. An activist for self-love and compassion, they are one of 2 founders in the queer zine and movement platform Pernotation, a project using movement notation systems in conversation with desire. Bledsoe teaches yoga and meditation, movement, and visual art at the Agora Gallery based in New York City. Her current research is centered in tantric philosophies and the connections between meditation and creativity. Their work has been installed and performed in France, Brazil, and the United States. Thank you.
Why is it so hard to let go of something I don't want no more? I'm tired of being broke, when inside I know I'm whole. can't what's inside of me provide for me? Secret little money disease in the age of COVID-19. When I said I want to keep looking, what I meant was I'm just beginning. The idea seemed clear, but now I'm here, it's got me nowhere. But what should I say? Yeah, it's so real. Now I'm praying, recalibrated, spending time on my head, balancing, looking, hoping, working for it. The peace I had Friday, but it's Monday. Watching time pass within and around me. Another day, another chance, learning to live with it. Why is it so hard to let go of something I don't want no more? I'm tired of being broke when inside I know I'm whole. Why can't what's inside of me provide for me? Secret little money disease in the age of COVID-19. When I said I'd given everything, all that I could possibly, what I meant was I'd been skimping on me, which I couldn't keep doing, so I left. Now I'm back in your country, it seems that we're not speaking, I'm recalibrating, focusing in a state of meditation and praying. I'm spending time in my bed, because rest is good for my head. I'm working on being individually complete, and relaxing on rushing all of the things. Why is it so hard to let go of something I don't want no more? I'm tired of being broke, when inside I know I'm whole. Why can't what's inside of me provide for me? Secret little money disease in the age of COVID-19. Now I'm praying, recalibrating in a state of meditation, spending time in my head, balancing, looking, hoping, working for, wishing for, and maintaining the joy I had Friday, because it's Monday. Watching time pass within and around me, I am the essence of all my surroundings, connecting with all sentient things to elevate and evolve, to trip up when I fall, levitate, and move along. Why is it so hard to let go of something I don't want no more? I'm tired of being broke, when inside I know I'm whole. Why can't what's inside of me provide for me? Secret little money disease in the age of COVID-19. Why is it so hard to let go of something I don't want no more? I'm tired of being broke, when inside I know I'm whole. Why can't what's inside of me provide for me? Secret little money disease in the age of COVID-19. Why is it so hard to let go of something I don't want no more? Tired of being broke, when inside I know I'm whole. Why can't what's inside of me provide for me? Sick with little money disease in the age of COVID-19. Why is it so hard to let go of something I don't want no more? Tired of being broke, when inside I know I'm whole. Why can't what's inside of me provide for me? Sick with little money disease in the age of COVID-19.
There are two things people always expect me to like. Two things expect me to like.
Hello, one get in 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 hello, one get in
Chocolate, two things, and bras. Things.
hello, one get in 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 hello, one get in
I don't like bras. Intimate things. They make me feel bad and constricted.
hello, one get in 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 hello, one get in
They make me feel stuck. Two things. Like there's only one way to go.
So like hitting the wall and 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 hitting the wall.
Two things. They make me feel two things trapped. They make me feel hot. Like I'm a piece of toast stuck inside of a toaster waiting to pop out. Because it's true. They make me all hot and bothered. Two things. They get me all tied up in messes I can't make straight. Stormy weather since I realized that I like girls better. I know why there's no sun up in the sky. The stormy weather since I realized that I like girls better. Keeps raining all the time I don't care. Vagina's naturally comfort bear for stormy weather. They're much better when they're wetter. Try yours, but mine's just fine, so fine all the time. When I talk this way, I think the Lord is sure to judge me. That's why every day I pray that He'll forgive me. All I can do is say I do the best with how you made me. Forgive my sins once more, forgive my sins once more. Life's not fair. There should be signs that say, hey, beware, there's stormy weather. Cross here and you'll lose it all together. I worry all the time. 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 Can't go on. This word could be my last one. Stormy weather. I'm always trying to be better. Keep trying all the time. Keep trying all the time. Keep trying all the time. I know why there's no sun up in the sky. There's stormy weather since I realized that I like girls better. Keeps raining all the time I don't care. Vagina's naturally prepared for stormy weather. They're much better when they're wetter. So yours, but mine's just fine, so fine all the time. I worry all the time. When I talk this way, I think the Lord is sure to judge me. That's why every day I pray that He'll forgive me. All I can do is say I do the best with how you made me. Forgive my sins once more. Forgive my sins once more. Life's not fair. I worry all the time. There should be signs that say, hey, beware, there's stormy weather.
I know why there's no sun up in the sky.
Lose it all together.
There's stormy weather.
I worry all the time.
Since I realized
This word could be my last one. Stormy weather. I'm always trying to be better. Trying all the time.
Vagina's naturally
All
comfort
the
bear
time.
for stormy weather.
Like chocolate. I'm sick of everyone trying to get me to eat it. I like how it tastes. There's something about the texture. I don't care how dark it is, it all tastes the same, and it makes my stomach hurt. And then I have to poop. I hate chocolate. When it sits out too long, it melts up all over my business. Oh, can't stand a chocolate stain in my nice shirt. They're the hardest to get out. The dark little spots that make it look like I don't know the proper way to shit. They're so ugly and dirty. I wish they would.
Keeps raining all the time.
Yelps that chocolate. Certainly no piece of shit. That's why I'm in this cannon. I avoid it. Even the smell. The smell of a piece of chocolate getting close. I run, okay? Well, I don't run anymore, but I sure as hell think like I'm running. And I squint my eyes to make it seem like all the colors are blurred. You know, if you hold your nose while you eat, you can't taste it, okay? So I do that too. Two things. While I pass by, I hold my nose. Just because you don't see me doing it, don't mean I don't do it. I do it instinctively. Close off my nasal I move away from chocolate like a race car speeds around a track. Fast. Like a freaking Energizer bunny. I'm always avoiding collision and running out the room.
I worry all the time.
Stay on my side, okay? I never run on his side. See over there staring at me. A little lump of chocolate. All dirty and covered in the shit from the street where he was discarded. See him over there. He's begging for someone to buy him as a rapper. Asking for someone to feed his hunger to feel full. Feel full.
I worry all the time.
What else do you want from me? I feel like a fool, alright? You got me. Try to make him the joke so I can laugh and have a reason to cry that's happy.
Keeps raining all the time.
No. Not on the street in my own reflection. I see him. You do. That's why you look the way you do, all starry-eyed and naive. Better yet, that's why you don't look. What's that? The chocolate too thick for ya? You like it better when it's sweet? I don't like chocolate. I hate to break it to you, sweetie. But just like I ain't chocolate, I ain't sweet. You're damn right you
So you lost your game. It's not too late to contract. Work those abs and fight back. Eat your greens and attack. Because when you're thinking that everyone is looking and that you're gonna fall, they're not watching you at all. Be done chasing after gold. No, you are divining your soul. Take your time. You have all that you need to go where you must go. Like the anatomy of the muscles are filled with 2D emotion, isometric intentions with isotonic inhibitions. He gives me yummy attention and never questions my ambitions, but I dream of a queen because I live to be different. Help, help, everyone around me is Blanco. So keep it parfois, I'm so low. But I get refueled when I'm checking in with my friends in Memphis, Paris, and Brooklyn. Got plenty of love, I've been from my kin. We're ancient, royal, and decadent, so don't try to cram me in a petite chambre. My story's even richer than where I come from.
the bob sit I burn. So leave us my feet. Hey, look who I'm look who I'm the Bob St. Ivan, so I leave us a man feet. I'm the Bob St. Ivan, I'm the Bob St. Ivan.
Because when you're thinking that everyone is looking and that you're gonna fall, they're not watching you.
I don't. So the next performance will be by Shorter Cherry, and it's titled "How the Sun Came to the Sky," it was performed in Baltimore, Maryland. The duration for this performance is approximately 11 minutes. Shorter Cherry was born in 1954 in Washington, D.C., and is currently based in Baltimore, Maryland. He has a PhD from Columbia University and an MA from George Washington University, both in museum education, and he has a BFA from the Stamp School of Art and Design. Shorter Cherry is an artist who captures everyday scenes of African diaspora life, most recently set in barbershops, and utilizing repurposed materials. In 2020, he was awarded the Municipal Art Society of Baltimore City Artist Travel Prize for research in Bahia, Brazil. And in 2019, he was a finalist for the Janet and Walter Sondheim competition. He's worked in 7 museums across the United States, including the Art Institute of Chicago, the Smithsonian Institution's Anacostia Museum, the Studio Museum in Harlem, the J. Paul Getty Museum, the Baltimore Museum of Art, and the Maryland Historical Society. Cherry has held senior grantmaker positions at Lilla Wallace Reader's Digest Foundation and the Institute of Museum and Library Services, first as Deputy Director of Museums and later Counselor to the Director. He currently teaches museum studies at Morgan State University. So now we'll turn to How the Sun Came to the Sky.
Good morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to hear Dr. Shorter Cherry talk about the boys and girls who live in the land of dark. And you'll hear some really interesting things. So let's get started.
Hi, I'm DeAndre, and I have a story about the sun. You know where the sun is, right? Up in the sky, yeah. Well, I know how the sun got to the sky. You see, a long time ago, before the sun was in the sky, people lived in a place called the Land of Dark. That was a pretty place. All the colors were dark. They were dark blues, dark greens, dark yellows, dark reds. It was a pretty place. It looked something like this. And the people in the land of the dark, they were really friendly. When you saw somebody in the land of the dark, you didn't just say hello, you would say starlight, and they would say starbright. Let's try that. I'm going to pretend like I see you, and I'm going to say starlight, and you say starbright, okay? All right, so I'm walking down the street in the land of dark. There you are. Starlight, starbright. Yeah, just like that. Now, everybody in the land of dark, they had a star. Some people wore their star on top of their head, or their right shoulder, or their left shoulder, or their right foot, or their left foot, wherever they wanted to wear their star. One guy, his name was Star Runner. Guess where he wore his star? On the bottom of his foot. Star Runner could run so fast that when he ran, you didn't see him. All you would hear would be whoosh. And if you heard whoosh, you knew the Star Runner had just ran by you. I tell you what, let's try something. Let's say whoosh and see if we can see Star Runner. Okay, on the count of 3, everybody say whoosh. 1, 2, 3, whoosh. Did you see him? No, you didn't see him. I told you, you couldn't see him. Okay, let's try this. On the count of 3, everybody say whoosh in slow motion, like whoosh. And then let's see if we can see Star Runner. Okay? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Whoosh. Did you see him that time? Yeah, that was slow motion. That was cool. Let's do that one more time. Slow motion. 1, 2, 3. Whoosh. That was Star Runner. Now I guarantee you that's the only time you're going to see Star Runner run in this story. Like I said, everybody in the land of the dark had a star, but every star was different. Some stars had straight lines. Those were straight line star people. Some stars had wavy lines. Those were the wavy line star people. Some stars had zigzag lines. Those were the zigzag line star people. Even little kids had stars. Those were little kid stars. They look like this. Did I say squiggly lines? They had squiggly lines. Those were squiggly line star people. And there was one more. Oh yeah, star in a star. Those are like diva star people. They had stars in a star. So everybody's star was different. And in the land of the dark, they had a game they called Star Throw. It went like this. You would say, starlight, star bright. Can you see my stars bright light? If I may, if I might, share with you my star tonight. And you would go 1, 2, 3, stars up. And everybody throws their stars high up into the sky. And they would be all bright and shiny, twinkly, and they would light up the sky. And then they would come back down, and people would pick up their stars. One day, they did the star throw, and something strange happened. They did the chant. Starlight, star bright. Can you see my stars bright light? If I may, if I might, share with you my star tonight. 1, 2, 3, stars up! And the stars were in the sky, and they were all bright, shiny, twinkling, and they lit up the sky, and then they came back down. When they came back down, nobody heard that noise. Whoosh! Ring! Thump! All of the stars in the stars were gone, missing, nowhere to be found. And all the star in the star people were in the dark. But that didn't stop the people from doing the star throw. They liked to do that game, so they kept going. Starlight, star bright. Can you see my stars bright light? If I may, if I might, share with you my star tonight. 1, 2, 3, stars up! And the stars went in the sky, and they were all bright and shiny, twinkling, and lit up the sky, and then they came back down. Nobody heard that noise. Whoosh! Ring! Thump! This time, all of the squiggly line stars were gone, missing, nowhere to be found. And all the squiggly star people were in the dark. Well, this kept going, and every time they did the star throw, more stars were missing. The little kids' stars were missing, gone, nowhere to be found. All the little kids were in the dark. The zigzag stars were missing, gone, nowhere to be found. The wavy line stars were missing, gone, nowhere to be found. Then finally, there was one star left, and that star belonged to Aisha. Now, since Aisha had the last star, she didn't want to lose her star, so she didn't want to do the star throw. But everybody wanted to do the star throw, so they begged. They said, please, Aisha, can we do the star throw? Please, please, please. We promise to take good care of your star. No, no, no. You all lost your stars, and now you're all in the dark. If you lose my star, there's going to be big trouble. Well, this went back and forth for a long time. Please, Aisha, no. Please, no. Please, no. Please, no. Please, no. Finally, Aisha said, all right, I'll do the star throw. But if you lose my star, there's going to be big trouble. So they went out into the field. Aisha took her star, and they did the chant. Star light, star bright. Can you see my star's bright light? If I may, if I might, share with you my star tonight. 1, 2, 3, star up! Aisha didn't want to lose her star, so she didn't throw her star too high up into the sky. She threw her star like mid-sky. And it was mid-sky, and it was bright and shiny and twinkly as much as one star could do. Then it came back down. Now, this time, since everybody had their eyes on one star, they heard that noise. Whoosh, ring, thump. Aisha's star was missing, gone, nowhere to be found. Aisha was in the dark. You all lost my star, you lost my star. I want my star back. I told you if you lost my star, there's going to be big trouble. Everybody wanted to know what happened with the star. They kept their eyes on it, and it was just gone. Then somebody said, what was that noise? Let's follow that noise and see if we can figure out what's going on with the stars. Yeah, that's a good idea. So everybody in the land of the dark, they went from one side of the land of the dark all the way over to the other side of the land of the dark, and they came to a place where there was a door in the hole in the hill. They got there just in time to see the door open up. Ring! There was a bright shiny light, and then thump! Guess who was standing right there in the door in the hole in the hill? It was Star Runner. Star Runner wasn't running now. In fact, Star Runner was kind of looking kind of scared because everybody wanted to know where their stars were. People said, Star Runner, what did you do with our stars? Why did you take our stars? Star Runner said, I like shiny things. Well, Aisha wanted her star back. Star Runner, you give me back my star. You give me back my star right now. If you don't give me back my star, there's going to be big trouble. Star Runner said, okay, Aisha, all you have to do is go to the door in the hole in the hill, open up and reach in and get your star. So that's what Aisha did. She went up to the door in the hole in the hill. The door opened up. Ring! There was a bright shiny light. And then, thump! The door closed. I can't see. The bright light is too shiny. I can't see. I didn't get my star. Aisha couldn't get her star because the bright light was too shiny. Just then, Big Jamal came out, and Big Jamal said, don't worry, Aisha. I'll get your star. I'll get your star, and I'll get my star too. So, Big Jamal went up to the door in the hole in the hill. The door opened up. Ring! There was a bright shiny light. And then, thump! The door closed. Oh, I can't see. I'm blinded. The bright light is too shiny. I can't get my star. Big Jamal couldn't get his star because it was too bright. Everybody was really concerned now. They wanted to know how could they get their star back. Then somebody said, I have an idea. Let's go up to the door in the hole in the hill. We'll reach in. We'll keep our eyes closed. Then we can pull out our star and we'll get our stars back. Yeah, that's a good idea. So they went up to the door in the hole in the hill. The door opened up. Ring! There was a bright shiny light. And then, thump! Everybody reached in and they kept their eyes closed and they pulled out their stars. But the stars were like in one big bundle. They couldn't separate their stars. That didn't stop them from doing the star throw though. So they went out into the field with their big bundle of stars and they did the chant. Star light, star bright. Can you see my star's bright light? If I may, if I might, share with you my star tonight. 1, 2, 3, stars up. and they threw their star, their really big bundle of stars, and it went up into the sky, and it was bright and shiny and twinkly, and it lit up the sky like they had never seen before. And then as they watched, that bundle of stars turned into one huge, gigantic star. And that's what we call today the sun. That's how the sun came and got into the sky. Now, the people in the land of dark, they weren't used to all this bright light, so something had to change. So everybody in the land of dark got sunglasses. The end.
Excellent. Thanks, Schroeder. Okay, so those were our two performances. So now I'd like to, ask Schroeder, Carissa, and Motaniola if you can unmute yourselves and we can start our conversation.
Okay, so before we get started with the questions, I'd like to ask each of the artists to give any background information that they have on each of their performances.
Okay, I can I can go first, I suppose, since it was my video that played that played first. This piece, In Deep, is really for me the epilogue is how I'm looking at it from the work that is presented at the moment in the Stamps Gallery with the Tide Brought In. It was really an opportunity for me to revisit some of the images, some of the thoughts I was having at the time that I made that work, and then to really illustrate where I am right now. It was important to me. I've performed with the Tide Brought In multiple times over the last few years, and it was really important to me to step up, like go to the next point of the story in the creative process with the Tide Brought In. So that's the kind of backstory for the creative impetus for In Deep. And in terms of situating it, it was filmed at La Friche Belle de Mai, which is a kind of cultural center. It's a historic artist squat in Marseille, and it has been transformed over the years to become a more institutionalized location for artists to work and to have space to present their work. And so that's it. And ironically, just on the other side of the wall, I was telling Schroeder and the rest of the team this the other day when we were practicing the event this evening. Just on the other side, there's the employment offices. So I felt like it was a really interesting dynamic. It happens in a neighborhood in Marseille that is quite impoverished, and there's a lot of question about the intervention of government and the city really picking the people up that are in the streets of the city. And so it felt important in some kind of way, though I didn't know it in the beginning, to have that contact with the site, with the space. So to be in conversation as well with the geographic location where I am in this moment. So, all right. Anyways, thank you so much for the opportunity, and that's the next story for me.
Carissa. My presentation was How the Sun Came to the Sky. It's a puppet show that was developed for a live audience initially. And in the live theater piece, there's a lot of interaction between the puppet and the audience. But when COVID hit, we decided there needed to be a format on screen on Zoom. So we videoed it to capture the story of how the sun came to the sky. I'm using, as you see, a rod puppet, and the puppet itself is narrating and operating the other puppets to tell the story.
Excellent. Thanks for that, both of you. So yeah, why don't we can jump into some questions. I mean, that, I think both of those kind of can lead us into some questions, but yeah, I'll start. So Schroeder, I love those puppets that you have all behind you. And
Oh yeah.
I guess, and yeah, I know, I hope you can introduce us to some of those puppets. But so in another interview that you did, you had mentioned that you have over 40 different puppets. So I guess my question is just generally, where do you get your ideas for the characters of your puppets? And can you tell us a little bit about the puppets that you have with you in the room?
The characters are composites of people that I've actually encountered. I'm really intrigued by speech patterns and how people speak. I pay attention a lot to movement. I will not admit that some of these characters are actually people that I know. I don't want to have that responsibility, but I do make composites. So this guy, for example, this is Dallas Dan, and he was modeled after I met a real Black cowboy in Dallas, Texas. So I was inspired by that. I wanted to do that. This character is Maya Opinion. She's more an example of a composite. Her character is one in which she has an opinion about everything, no matter what it is. The catch is whenever she wants to talk, nobody stays around to hear the opinion. That's just her character. So all of the puppets have some type of personality and they interact.
Thank you. So the next question is, who was the first puppet you created and what is the most recent puppet you've created?
Oh, the very first puppet I created was when I was a child. I played with marionettes when I was a kid, so I made string puppets. The most recent puppet is the guy behind me in the yellow. His name is Tyshawn, and his character is developing. He's a younger character, meaning like late teens. And I think he's non-binary. He's kind of shy. So his character is actually coming together.
Excellent. Okay, so I'll throw a question over to Carissa. And Carissa, you talked a little bit about this when you were telling us sort of the relationship, that In Deep was sort of an epilogue to what the tide brought in. So I guess, and this is a question just for me also as the curator, because I thought a really interesting piece, in the gallery we're playing, we have on view a few different iterations of the piece. And so I was wondering kind of what kind of brought you to, I guess, let me frame it this way. Will you perform what the tide brought in again? Will there be another iteration of it? Or is In Deep sort of, is what the tide brought in done, and is In Deep kind of like what will take over next? Will In Deep will you continue to re-perform In Deep in different variations or iterations? Yeah, I guess those are my questions.
Yeah, so I have the same question for myself. I think that it felt very clear to me that I did not want to do what the tide brought in again right now. I really felt pressed to make something new. I think that given the opportunity there would have to be a reason to go back and do what the tide brought in again. Like, let's say I was also performing In Deep and it was an opportunity to perform them back to back, for example, to see what that offered, to go into those two worlds. But at the moment, I'm really curious to keep going with In Deep. I really feel like, I've mentioned it in a couple of conversations this week, when I make a new work, or I feel like most artists, when they make a new work, it's like a giving birth, and so you meet the child and you're like, okay, how do I facilitate, life with you? How can I assist you? How can I guide you? How can I be of service with, your experience in the world? So I think I'm at the beginning of that process with In Deep, and I'm really excited to continue to work through it and see. For example, the idea was to perform the piece live, and then with the curfew that's here in France right now, it was like, okay, now within a week we've got to turn it into a video presentation, and it was like that offered a whole other process, because it was a different work to do the performance, but then also to think, how do I present the performance? Schroeder's talked about that a little bit, like how do I present the performance in this format? When people aren't there with me, how do I offer a point of view that speaks to the integrity of the research, speaks to the integrity of the sensations that I have and what I want to offer and what I hope will be an exchange nonetheless with the public, you know? So yeah, to answer the question succinctly, I hope to continue working with In Deep, and With the Tide Brought In is not dead, you know? It's just, you know, In Deep is taking my attention in this moment. Yeah.
Was it, sorry, just to keep going on this, was it, because you still have, you know, obviously you're touching on the, you know, you still have some of those characters with you because you still have, you know, as you have the costumes from this character or, you know, from those performances. So do you feel like you were kind of like, you didn't want to sort of revisit some of those, or it was just, yeah, not the right kind of like moment for that?
I think it's both. Where I am at this moment, I am learning about letting go and being present with the experience that is right now, and not holding on to so it's kind of funny to think like uppercase self and lowercase self, not getting caught up in all of the ties of lowercase self. And I think to be more concrete, it's things that are tied to my human form, right? So aspects of identity that are linked to this experience of life that I have in this body. And though it's very important for me to engage with that experience because it's how I am presented in the world and it's how I experience society, I also think that more so than when I made With the Tide Brought In, I'm at a place where I'm really interrogating the role of of uppercase self, for the lack of saying higher and lower, because I don't necessarily like that dichotomy. But yeah, I'm really playing and learning a lot about how to facilitate the liaison between those two consciousness, and so In Deep was a lot letting go of With the Tide Brought In, letting go of those characters that are very tied to lowercase self, right? With the Tide Brought In is very heavy with conversation around, because that's where I was. That's where I was when I made it. And In Deep is much more, about letting go of those attachments, and then what does it look like to go through that process, right? Because I definitely don't think I'm on the other side yet. I think I'm in the process of se débarrasser, like in the process of releasing, of shedding that skin, those skins.
Shorter, on that note, do you feel like because I know that, you know, you also redo performances. I mean, for multiple, obviously for multiple audiences, do you feel like every new performance that you do of a piece is kind of a new iteration, sort of it's, you know, kind of a brand new like form and a new performance?
With my work with the puppets, every performance it has its own character. What you just saw was a fairy tale that I wrote. There's another story that I wrote that's historically based, and it's called Underground Railroad, Not a Subway. And that story talks about an enslaved Black boy who decides to run away and go north. So that's a very different type of presentation. But all of my shows somehow have some interaction with the audience. So there's a lot of call and response and back and forth with words of play. But yeah, every show has its own character. And that's deliberate, and also it's a part of my evolution, because when I look back at my earliest pieces, I realized that there are some things I did then that I just would not do again because it was just so wrong. So I try to learn from every performance and going to the next one.
Would you also say that that was incorporated into your most recent one in our exhibition for the PSA videos?
When you say incorporated what?
The call and response, because, you know, with this new format of everything being online, everything has definitely changed.
Right. Yeah. We tried to incorporate that a little bit. And in our earlier takes on the recording, we realized that some of the back and forth that happens in a live experience just doesn't translate well on video because it comes across as too corny or not authentic. So we had to cut some things out. For example, in the live performance, DeAndre actually has the audience become people in the land of dark. So he separates them to the people on the east side of the land of dark and the west side of the land of dark, and they say the chant together. He also chooses from the audience one boy and one girl, and they're each the mayor of the land of dark. One the mayor of the east side, one the mayor of the left side. And that engages them to become citizens of the land of dark as the story unfolds. That didn't translate as well on video, so we cut that piece out.
So let's bring in, if it's we want to keep everything, very casual, and also, maybe bring in some folks who have put some questions in the chat. I don't know if you feel comfortable unmuting yourselves and asking the question. If you don't, that's totally fine too. I can just ask the question as well. But Malcolm, I saw a question that you had in the chat for Carissa. Did you? Oh, perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was, hi, Carissa. Good to see you.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Yeah, I was intrigued, and I am intrigued by found spaces, and especially this one. So what was occurring to me as I was watching was the relationship between you, Carissa, and the graffiti behind you. And I asked you, in the chat, was the graffiti there or did you add to it? Because I was especially drawn to the piece as I was looking on the right, which had the words for proud and mad and fier, affolé. And I wondered whether, if it was found or if you did it and whether it played with you.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Malcolm. I did not put the graffiti there myself intentionally. La Friche is full of graffiti. Marseille is known for the graffiti art throughout the whole city. So the graffiti was just there, and the space definitely, the first time I visited, just really spoke to me. Like I was saying, for the lighting, something about the lighting, the colors, those blue columns. It was just a very geometrically pleasing as well, like composition. And so the words there, as I was editing the video, I was like, oh my gosh, like discovering this space from a visual perspective, whereas choosing it was much more of a feeling, so yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I see a question for me. Someone asks if they say they know I have a number of puppets, and they wanted to know if I have the same puppet in multiple stories. My puppets will audition for parts because they all have different characters. So I will actually audition them for different roles. Lately, we've been doing some puppet slams because those are pretty popular in our area. So I will have two different puppets do, say, a song or do a sketch. And because of their characters, it changes based on who they are. But yeah, they switch roles.
That was from me. I was also wondering, Schroeder, thank you, if they've ever figured, like in a book, like are these going to be kind of I don't know if you think of them as children's stories or because the illustrations, the set that you had is also so is vibrant, an incredible part of sort of setting up the narrative. So
yeah, that's a great question. I actually am very interested in book illustration. I've only illustrated 2 children's books so far, but they were not connected with the puppets. And thinking about my experience back at the University of Michigan, book illustration was something I was interested in pursuing. Unfortunately, they didn't have a class for that specifically, but I paid a lot of attention to illustrations, particularly children's books illustrations. The illustrations from this show, How the Sun Came to the Sky, that goes back to the performance, because the original piece was designed for an outdoor performance as a festival in Baltimore celebrating light. And as the puppets narrated the story, those illustrations were projected on a huge screen behind him. So at the same time that the puppet was performing, we had these large illustrations going on the screen behind. It would translate, I think, pretty easily into a children's book. I have thought about it. Thank you for raising that question. I just haven't done it.
Can I just say one thing? You said about when you did it to video and originally live, there's the call and the response and everything. I want to reassure you, and I don't know how many of the other people were doing it too, but I was yelling back at you on the screen. I was right there with you. I mean, your energy and your presence is such that there was no way I couldn't not say it back to you and imagine that you were hearing me.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you.
My 2-year-old sat and watched the whole thing, so it was very effective.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah.
That's good. Thank you.
Excellent.
There's a question in the chat from Yasmin. The question is, what was your inspiration for the stage and your performance? Are you still there, Yasmin?
Yeah. So what was the inspiration for the stage? You know, I spoke to that a little bit earlier. I feel like I went into the space having just had the great fortune to be connected with some artists that have a studio space at La Friche. And so I thought I was going to be going and working in a enclosed, more traditional, like black box type space to present the work. And it was just at the beginning of, they gave me this sort of impromptu residency. And at the beginning of the time that I was there, I was just like, I did a couple of runs in the space that they offered me. And I was like walking back from the bathroom, like, that space, though it's outside and it's cold and it's kind of gross on the floor because there's like bird crap and stuff. I was like, there's something like, so I went into the studio and was like, guys, do you think I could maybe just like do a run, just try it right in front of your door? Do you think that anybody would mind? And they were like, dude, they're all about red plexus and Ornic art. They're really big on like urban disruptance, like doing site-specific work, street art. And so they were like, do it, try it, like just give it a go. And so yeah, it was a feeling, and then the feeling kind of grew to be like concrete. This is where the piece needs to happen, you know? So, and then the lighting was like, when I looked at it, I was like, there's something. In the employment office, when I left, it was like the employment office right there. And on the graffiti on the employment office is like, give me work. People are like crying out, and it just felt like a nice connecting point between what was happening here and then what was happening here and what was happening all around, right? So, and I like site specificity. I think it's really, really gritty. So yeah. Thank you for the question.
I think the question we could throw it over to Schroeder too, about the stage, Schroeder, like the stage that you had set up for the characters. What was the inspiration for that?
That's out of necessity. Since I am a solo performer, I have to be very attentive to what the setup is like. So I try to make it as minimal but effective as possible. So what you saw was what we call a tabletop presentation. Most of the action happens on the tabletop. And the backdrop was just basically black drapes. It was recorded in a friend's garage in Washington, D.C. We set up a recording station in her garage. So that's basically the setup. But when I perform live, the puppets are designed and the set is designed to be able to be performed in any kind of space. So I just need that tabletop and a backdrop.
So Lori asked a question, Jennifer, here. that's interesting to me, if you don't mind answering it.
Please, yeah.
Lori Wetcher, she said, or they said, it felt like there was a narrative. Oh, yeah, go ahead, please.
No, you. I want to hear how you read it. I like how you talk.
That's funny. Okay. It felt like there was a narrative to your movement and sound, much about searching, letting go, and finding a meditative moment, along with yearning and sadness. I was very moved by it. How did you decide on the sound that was not words? And then later on, so Srimoyi has offered the link to the original work with the type brought in. And then afterwards, Lori follows up to say, do your tattoos speak to your present being or art? Okay, so unexpected question about my tattoos, but that's a shorter response. So I can just say that they speak to both. They speak to both. Some of my tattoos are my actual drawings. Other ones are of artists that inspire me. This is Huey Lee Smith on this arm is Huey Lee Smith. And he was actually, this image was actually part of a lot of the research I did for What the Tide Brought In, and kind of stuck. So I got that tattoo afterwards. And on my back is Georgia O'Keeffe, a huge inspiration. So it's both, I think, to answer that question. And in terms of the sound that is not my voice, if you watch, or if you've seen What the Tide Brought In, a lot of the recorded sounds of me speaking in that bit come from that original work, and they've been remixed. The sound design was done by my brother, Carl Bledsoe Jr., and I had a lot of conversation with him about the feeling that I wanted there to be. And he, coming from the same family, we have both the same parents, and though we experienced our parents very differently, we have very similar experiences growing up. And so he could really identify with some of the nuances and what I hoped to project with the sound. And so that was really a fun collaboration for him to create this sort of world that represented quite accurately. When he sent it to me, I was like, oh, we have this thing, we're like, ding dong, darling, you know, like that is it, you know. It was like excellent, because he really got to the nitty gritty of some of those things that I was looking for in the sound. So that was his world coming into collision with the thoughts and ideas that I was throwing at him. Like, I want to feel this, I want to see that, I feel like it has to go to outer space, and like, yeah. So, yeah.
I haven't had a chance to see your other work, so I'm really interested to see how that all comes together.
Yeah.
I'm a community member, so I can't go into the gallery, but maybe do you have a site or something like that?
So Srimoyi put the link to What the Tide Brought In the chat. And if you go to my website, carissabledsoe.com, I'm constantly updating it. So I'm currently in the process of making it a little bit more finessed, but you can see the current version. And there are some video clips from What the Tide Brought In, if you'd like some context for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have another question that I think I can put out to both of you, and I guess it, you know, just kind of this. I know we've touched on it a little bit, sort of like an audience being present or not being present. You know, does that change? You know, obviously it does sort of change the work, but I wonder if either of you could talk about whether or not you think about audience. And I think maybe both of you do in potentially different ways, you know, like who the audience is, and then, you know, like, are you, and how do you consider the audience, or how do you think through it? Does that change anything in the performance that you're doing depending on the audience? Yeah, I'll just throw that out to both of you.
Well, I'll say with my experimentation now with the video, I do pay a lot of attention to prospective audiences, and I'm keeping in mind attention span and also interaction. Those are key things for me in the video, because with puppets, although puppets are very seductive, you can lose an audience if they're not engaging you in some way. And I don't want it to be a presentation where people are just kind of watching the puppet and they look away I want the puppet to actually grab them the entire time. So I do pay a lot of attention to that.
Schroeder, do you feel like does it change at all for the age group? Because I read an article where you talked about using the puppet when you were giving an exhibition tour within a museum, and then, to a group of adults. And then, I'm sure at some points you've talked about also going in and doing the performances at schools. And I was wondering, wondering on that.
That's a good question. With the example that you mentioned in the museum, that was specifically a puppet who does not do well with children. That's the character. She only deals with adults, and her actually she's here. This is it's Miss Lily right behind me. She was designed to give tours in a gallery to adults. At that time, I was a director of education at a museum, and I wanted to develop a program where adults could play in the galleries. So we advertised it specifically for adults, and she gave tours in the gallery. That's just her persona. She doesn't do well with children. Most of the programs I design I would say, are intergenerational. So they're for children, families, and adults, so everybody can enjoy them. So that's a separate type of presentation. But Lily just doesn't do children.
That's great.
Krista, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
About the audience? Yeah, I think that I have a lot to learn from Schroeder's answer about audience, about engaging the audience, so that they're not tempted to look away, for example. Yeah, I feel like it's a really interesting time to consider audience because, as I was trying to explain earlier, thinking about being in a space where even having an audience that's present virtually is very different than what ended up happening where I was filming, and as I'm speaking out into this giant, a really big, almost like parking garage industrial type space, there were the people who were helping me technically in front doing all kinds of stuff, talking to their boyfriend or whatever, and answering their phone or smoking a cigarette. People are doing all kinds of stuff in front of me, and I'm in performance mode, yes, COVID-19, going into this place. And really, and so it was a very, in that sense, I learned a lot about what is it that I'm actually, and one of the advisors for the organizations that I ended up working with, Ornica Art, Rochdi, he mentioned to me at one point, you have to think about what do you want the audience to see? What is it, especially when we had the conversation about making the work into a more video piece. And so, what do you want the audience to see? And so when I considered that, I really took that to heart, and thinking about that, I was it's about being in this meditative state. It's about showing that process. So that became sort of a solution to the situation. And it was how can I really tap into what it is, practice what I preach, right? How can I tap into that state of internal reflection despite what's going on around me? So how can I evoke mindfulness in my performance, and consequently represent and comment on the meditative practice through my performance, because we're watching it happen instead of trying to say this is what it is. It's being in that, which is a very different approach than maybe what I have had in the past, when I knew that there were going to be people actually in front of me and feeding off of that energy and being very much in this I'm performing a thing. So we get into questions of performativity versus performance, and it's a whole other thing. And so I think that's it. In this moment, it's a very different situation, and I learned a lot and still have a lot to acquire in that department about how do we engage with the audience? What do we really want to share? What is it that we're looking to share?
Do either of you have a preference now that you've kind of gone through, you know, had both the virtual and the the live audience, or does it just change from, it's just a different project, a different space?
For me, they're totally different venues. With a live performance, you feed off of the energy with the audience. And if I'm doing a non-taped performance, I can actually engage them in ways that are impromptu. If I'm doing a live performance that's taped, that's a whole other different type of performance. But with a video, the advantage is you've got it. It's a package. You can just share it. If you want to do Q&A afterwards, you can do that, but you don't have to worry about being in perfect voice or perfect form for that day. You can, you know, put in a video and have the flu, but you can't do that with a live performance. So there are pluses and minuses to both of them.
Yeah.
Can I say something on that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just one little thing. I mean, one of the differences I sensed was with Schroeder's, there's an invitation to engage and come to the resonance of the story through that engagement with him. And it seemed like with the meditative side of yours, with no direct contact with us through the camera, we were being invited to observe and then maybe ourselves meditate on the content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a quite astute observation, Malcolm. I agree. And I think that speaks to the answers that Schroeder and I have each given as well, in terms of what it was that we were curious about in our creation of the works, you know. Yeah, and I don't know, Jennifer, if I understood the question correctly, is it about if we have a preference between the two, or was it just to speak to the differences?
Well, just a preference, or, you know, maybe after the virtual, like, are you really craving to get back to a live audience? Yeah, so a preference, but yeah, also just trying to understand if you're really missing that live audience with everything going on right now.
I don't know that I'm missing it. It's not like, oh, I really want to be in that state of anxiety just before I go out on stage. I love being on stage. But I think that I also really love video. I really love video. And when I was in school at Stamps, I took a lot of classes around video dance and film. And so it was a really welcomed experience, though I would have loved to have had the reflection like 2 months ago so that I could have organized myself differently and maybe like been a bit more like on top of some of the technical sides of things to make it like more pristine in a lot of ways that way. I really enjoy the process of editing and crafting the image to be a very specific thing. And yeah, so I think for me, it depends on the project, and maybe it speaks to where I'll go next with In Deep, if it will live as a video piece, in fact, you know, or if it's something that I do want to present live, because that changes things. When I do With the Tide Brought In, the audience is in front of me, right? Or they're in the round. I've done it in the round as well. And so when they're in front of me, you see one image unless people are walking around. And when they're in the round, I'm working the space kind of like this, but still it's nobody's coming and getting up next to my shoulders as I'm moving. Nobody is like watching my, my body in the same way that I can manipulate when it's camera, when it's film. And so that opportunity, I was very specific with the friend who helped me with the camera work about what type of shots I wanted to see. I was very specific about how I wanted the body to be portrayed, at what points, from what vantage points, and that sort of thing. And you don't have necessarily the same control in a live performance. It's different. You can control from what place people are watching in a distance, right? But the opportunity to really craft something that is being a bit more intimate, a different sort of intimacy, because live performance is also quite intimate because it's in that moment, but a different sort of intimacy. So yeah, I enjoy both, and I think it depends on the piece.
Carissa just brought up something that triggered a memory for me of my time at University of Michigan. We didn't have that same type of interdisciplinary encouragement. When I was in school, you were either a painter, a sculptor, a photographer. You chose one and you stood with it. But I appreciate the evolution of being able to cross-pollinate with the different disciplines, because I think it's so much broader.
Yeah, and I would definitely, Schroeder, say that when I was at the University of Michigan, it was a novel moment because the InterArts program was getting going. We were the second incoming class. Malcolm, I see you going like this. Yeah, Paige and I were two when we came into our class. We were two to start out, and the class, I think, ended up when we graduated, there were 6 of us. People had transferred in. So it was a novel thing for the STEM school to be collaborating with the School of Theater, Music, and Dance. And then there were students like me who were like, I also want to go to LSNA, and I also want to go like, here and here. I want to take this kind of class, you know? And so, yeah, I think the school, I'm not sure how it is now, but it's really evolved. And I've seen a lot of other programs nationally adapting a similar structure. And in Europe, I feel like it's happening as well. In France, much less. In France, they're still very like conservatoire, you do the dance, or like you go and you do theater, or you do the FEC and you're studying the theory and you're writing and you're like academic, right? And it's not the same as being in a studio. So yeah, I think it's an interesting evolution, and it's one that I am excited to see happening more and more. I think it's very important to have that.
I have to say part of that responsibility has to fall on the professors themselves. They have to be comfortable enough to have what I would call interspecies learning. Like, what do you do with this person in your class who doesn't know anything about your discipline, but they're great in another discipline and they want to learn what you're doing? So I think professors have to become comfortable with that teaching mode as well.
Yeah, and find the balance, I would say. As an artist, it's not comfortable necessarily to be inclined towards multiple ways of creating when you don't know if you can finesse each one, you know. So I think there's got to be like a moment where you're like, okay, I want to learn about theater, I want to learn about dance, I want to learn about painting, and I think there's value in investing in one thing. And then from there, having a very organic progression towards, like, if you're making a work, which was great, I feel like in the experience that I had in InterArts, like, it was very catered towards my specific creative vision. So like, if I was making a work and recognized, okay, I'm curious about some questions of gender identity, how can I, so then I go towards that, and it's like I delve into this, and it's like, okay, but now I want that to actually be a film. So let me go take some classes on film, you know, and it's catered based on the creative vision. I think that changes a lot because the investment is different in your learning process. When you have an objective, you know, you want to make something that looks like this, or you want to make something that is using this medium. So you learn how to use it to express yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think foundation is really important. Some said there needs to be a balance between foundation, which is where you're learning on something to be very solid, and what I call creative chaos, where you are just to experience, but you back to the foundation. Get lost in the experience, you know, fail, try again, succeed, fail again, succeed again, but come back to your foundation and make it work.
Schroeder, the thing about the program that Carissa was in, I mean, they've been in different institutions, students could do dual degrees, right? They could take 2 degrees at the same time. But this actually was the first joint degree program in the university. And so Carissa and their cohorts were enrolled in both schools for 1 degree program. So So Carissa was a student of SMTD and a student of STAMPS, but in 1 degree program, not doing 2. So just in the foundation of it, we made that connection in the system of the way it works. So I think that was important.
Smart move.
And that was actually the reason why I went the University of Michigan, you know, like it was never on my radar. I'm not a sports person. I wasn't like, oh, you know, like Wolverines. It was, it was that I didn't want to make a choice between theater, performance, being in the body, and being in a studio, painting, drawing, making things out of material, like fabric, you know. I actually studied at MICA for a summer and was really big into fiber studies and was like thinking that's where I was going to go to school, and had all of the venue to be there because they were like, here, we'll give you all this money, like it'll be great. And I was like, yes, but there was no aspect of performance. And that was really important for me to still have a bit of, to have a lot more information and guidance around performance. And so when I got just a random brochure from the University of Michigan that was like, look, we're offering this program that's like theater, music, and dance, art and design, create an interdisciplinary, you know, experience, blah, blah, blah. It was perfect because that's exactly, I wanted to be able to experience all of those things in a synergetic way.
Yeah.
So
For those of you that don't know, MICA is Maryland Institute College of Arts in Baltimore, Maryland.
yeah.
And Carissa blew everyone away right from the beginning all the way through.
Oh, Malcolm, thank you. Malcolm, he led my audition. I remember he was there with a professor that's no longer teaching there, and I came in with a fish head and did a monologue about how I was a fish.
And now you've got different things on your head with different things coming out of it in your piece. Yeah. I love that. I love that you puppeteer yourself.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
We have a question from Yasmin, and it is, are there other media performances you like to dabble in? And this question is for Carissa.
Are there other media performances that I like to dabble in? Other media? I have a collaborative project where we make zines. That was the Pointertation project, is a graphic project where we're drawing, and at the Conservatory in Paris, I was studying a system of notating movement. Like it's a system, the same way that we have musical scores, I write movement scores with a code. So I make partitions for movement, and in that Pointertation project, we actually notate erotic scenes. We're exploring desire, physical desire, and using systems of notation to depict those things. So graphically, and I draw and paint. So those are other mediums that I use, I feel like. Yeah. Does that answer the question for you? Yes. Okay. Cool.
Nice. Excellent. Okay, well, we're kind of at time now. So yeah, I want to kind of close this out, and just take a moment to thank Carissa Bledsoe and Schroeder Cherry. Thank you so much for sharing your work and sharing your thoughts on the conversation today. And definitely go to everyone. Thank you all so much for coming. Go and check out, we dropped a bunch of links into the chat. Go and check those out. And go, if you can, come see the show, or see it virtually online at the Stamps Gallery, Stamps School of Art and Design website. More soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. It's been great. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.